Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the candidates have spoken, and now it is up to you, the voters, to decide who wins today's election. And while thousands showed up in support of President Trump's rally, there were also plenty of people protesting the president's visit to Lexington on Monday. Plus, Attorney General Andy Beshear spent the last day on the campaign trail, stomping in western Kentucky, joined by other Democrats on the ballot.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. It is 6:32 a.m. Let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. Brandon, what do we have for today? Is it going to be cold, chilly, warm up?
Listen, it's always a crazy weather day around here, but no, not today. Things are pretty quiet this morning, a little bit on the cooler side in those valleys, but the clouds are around parts of the area. We take a look at the WYMT studios this morning, and it's kind of a back and forth there, kind of a breaks in the action there, but we'll see a mix of sun and clouds today. Temperatures in those valleys, the coolest spot in the region is 35 in Harlan right now. We see 39 London, 37 Hazard, 45 Pikeville, Prestonsburg and Wise, 41 Somerset, and 37 in Middlesboro. Today, 57, some small chances for rain in those northern counties up near I-64 and the Mountain Parkway. Some patchy frost and fog around this morning as well, so be careful of that. A beautiful Wednesday for tomorrow, and then another cold front will affect us as we head deeper into the week. I'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Lacey.
Thanks, Brandon. Before President Trump took the stage last night in Lexington, he talked exclusively with WKYT's Dave Baker. During that interview, the president talked about coming to Kentucky and his campaign for re-election. Here's a portion of that interview.
Guys, a lot of folks may have asked, why me and why interview the president? The simple answer is I requested and the White House replied, and so we were granted the time with the president before tonight's rally. We talked about a number of things, but first and foremost about time and why he chose to spend this time here in Kentucky on election eve. Mr. President, I know your time is tight, so why did you choose to spend your time here in Kentucky the night before this election cycle?
Matt Bevin is a fantastic guy. He's done a great job as governor. He had to do things that very few people were able to do. You know what he did. He did some very tough moves, and he had no choice, and it made the state stronger. And I want to let people know that he is a fantastic governor. He loves this country. He loves this state. This is a great state. And I guess I'm pretty popular here based on certain things, but I love the people of Kentucky, and we're going to have a big victory tomorrow. Matt, I'm here really for Matt Bevin tonight.
When you first took this job, you and Senator McConnell probably didn't know each other very well. Would you say now he's your biggest legislative ally?
Well, he's fantastic, and he's done a great job. And, you know, we have 157 judges, federal judges approved, and 2 Supreme Court judges that are fantastic.
How in the world do you keep the wagon on the road with everything that has been thrown at you and continues to be thrown at you?
It's so absolutely crazy. And fortunately, we had we had the transcript of the conversation, and they had a whistleblower come out, and I think the whistleblower is very suspect because what he wrote is very wrong.
I don't understand. I mean, we're being transcribed here. I mean, there's never anything that you do except when you're in the private residence that there's not like a whole bunch of people transcribing, right?
Well, not only that, when I made this call, anytime you speak to a foreign leader, you have many people on the phone. You know that there are many people on the phone.
Sure.
So you make a call, and you know that all of these people, I think the Secretary of State was on, but many, many people, including transcribers and stenographers and everything else. What are you going to say? Now, I'm straight anyway, but when you know all of these people on the phone, that's sort of what you're getting at. Sure. It is so ridiculous.
But let me ask you this, though, Mr. President. A lot of people, a lot of the pundits and historians would say that a president wants to avoid impeachment at all costs. With the way things are going now, in a certain way, would you welcome that because you would be able to present evidence, you would be able to call witnesses and such, and let the American people decide?
Well, I think that's true, and they say that from a political standpoint. It's probably a good thing for the election. It's probably a good thing. The concept of impeachment is such a terrible thing. I think it's terrible. And probably it is good politically because I see the poll numbers, how good they are. I see the fundraising, how good it is, and all of the things, but it's not a good thing for our country, I can tell you that.
No matter whether you agree with the president or not, hopefully this and other political interactions have caused you to take action. And we hope that you will stand with us and stand for Kentucky and vote on Tuesday. Remember, this interview can be seen in its entirety on WKYT.com and as part of the Sports Buzz podcast. At Rupp Arena, Dave Baker, WKYT News.
And you can also see the entire interview on our website at WIMT.com. The candidates have spoken, and today it is up to you, the voters, to decide. Attorney General Andy Beshear spent much of his Monday with supporters in Western Kentucky, while Governor Bevin was joined by President Trump and thousands of others at a rally in Rupp Arena. The president spoke for around an hour and 20 minutes last night. He covered a variety of hot topics, but made it abundantly clear why he was in the Commonwealth.
Tomorrow, Kentucky has a chance to send the radical Democrats a message. You will vote to reject the Democrats' extremism. These proud Kentucky patriots did not shed their blood, sweat, and tears so that we could sit at home while others try to erase their legacy and destroy their magnificent heritage.
In short, he encouraged voters in the Commonwealth to vote a straight Republican ticket. He outlined the entire Republican slate that is up for election today, but stressed his belief in an urgency to elect one man over any other. The polls are now open and will close at 6 p.m. today. We want to fact check some of the claims by President Trump during last night's Rupp Arena rally. First, the stock market. The president says yesterday was the biggest day on Wall Street in history, and that's true. All three major indexes reached record highs, but investors are still worried about Trump policies leading to a trade war with China. Experts say that would plunge the country into a recession. At last night's rally, the president also said Kentucky's unemployment rate is the lowest it has ever been, which is mostly correct. From March to June of 2019, it was 4% according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is the lowest on record. However, that number has started increasing as throughout the summer and into the fall, where it currently stands at 4.5%, and the Bureau of Labor has only kept records since 1976. Job growth in Kentucky is still lagging behind the national average. And the president says Democrats are, quote, after your Second Amendment. Attorney General Andy Beshear says he favors common sense regulation. Beshear says a red flag law, otherwise known as extreme risk protection order, would allow a judge to remove a gun from a potentially dangerous person. Cases might involve domestic violence or mental illness. Governor Bevin calls that a slippery slope. However, the Attorney General has not supported various other stricter gun control measures. It was not all supporters for President Trump in downtown Lexington. Protesters were outside Rupp Arena yesterday. A large crowd gathered inside Triangle Park, and organizers fundraised to bring baby Trump to Lexington. Many of the protesters say they feel deflated with both Matt Bevin and President Trump. Their hope is their T-shirts and signs sent those messages.
I hope people feel affirmed and seen, that there are people who will stand up for them, that not everybody, even though we are in a really red state, that there are people here who believe in freedom of speech and being on the side of the people and not upholding racist, fascist values.
The idea of bringing the balloon to Lexington started with a GoFundMe account by two Lexington organizations. The group raised more than $5,000. While Governor Matt Bevin hopes to sway any undecided voters with last night's visit by President Trump, his Democratic opponent, Attorney General Andy Beshear, is spending the day on the road. The day started in Paducah, where Beshear knocked on his campaign's 1 millionth door. He says that shows his campaign is bigger than himself and his running mate, Jacqueline Coleman. They thank the thousands of Kentuckians who volunteered their time to get their message out. Their trek across the state ends shortly with a rally in Bowling Green.
Our Western Kentucky values say that we care about each and every family here in Kentucky, and I'm going to be a governor for each one of them.
West Kentucky is my home. It's a place where people share wonderful values together, and it's the same values that this fella has and is going to bring to the governor's mansion, and boy, do we need it. You know, governors have never acted like this governor has acted.
Beshear and Kentucky Democrats will be together tonight watching the results in Louisville. We will have a crew with them as we learn who will serve the Commonwealth for the next 4 years. And right now we are asking on WYMT.com who you plan on voting for in our live poll. This is not scientific, but as you can see, it's very close, which is what other polls have suggested. Several people still say they are undecided. Other races to keep a close eye on throughout the day. Kentucky will have a new Attorney General and Secretary of State. Both incumbents are term limited. First, the Attorney General's race. A familiar face in Kentucky politics, Democrat Greg Stumbo taking on political newcomer and Republican Daniel Cameron. Stumbo is a former state legislator from Floyd County who also served one term as Attorney General from 2004 to 2008. Cameron served as legal counselor for State Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and is trying to become the first Republican Attorney General in 70 years. Meanwhile, for Secretary of State, it is Republican Michael Adams taking on Heather French Henry. Adams is an attorney specializing in election law, while French Henry is a former Miss America and has worked for years on veterans issues. Polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can visit govoteky.com to find your voting location and see a sample ballot. After you vote, stick with WYMT on air and online for minute-by-minute results.
Well, the polls are open now, and there is no reason weather-wise not to get out there and vote. Remember, if you don't vote, don't complain. But this morning, we see a little bit of rain trying to drift into parts of the northern half of the area up toward I-64 Mountain Parkway corridor. But for the most part, just a few clouds around as we head through the first part of your day. Temperatures, again, cooler in the valleys, 35. The cold spot this morning looks like about 46 is the warm spot there in Pikeville and Moorhead this morning. So 40s on the ridges, 30s in the valleys. That trend has been around for the last couple of days. Statewide, 50 in Louisville this morning, 49 Paducah, 43 down toward Nashville, 40 in the Tri-Cities, one of the cooler spots, and 48 in Cincinnati. Your out the door forecast, a little bit of a cool start, gives way to a warmer day as we get close to 60 this afternoon. Those stray chances for showers north. Most of us stay dry. The clouds and sun will go back and forth throughout the day. Lacey.
Thank you for joining us on Mountain News this morning. Here's a look at what's ahead. The East Ridge High School auditorium was packed last night as the Pray Anyway rally kicked off.